Hi there, I'm Miles Peterson, and you're watching a 3D Engineer. And here I am with another video, and after a couple months of 3D printing and remodeling and designing, my revamped H.O.R Model 15 single-headed 710-port Super-Sirex is officially completed. And here it is. Man, that's a long title. But in short, this is a Super-Sirex. This is a completely functional model of this siren. It is based off the 710-port model in Hamilton, Ohio that still stands there to this day. So we're going to keep things short today, and I'm just going to do a very quick overview and test of this siren. Alright, now I know a lot of you guys are probably wanting to know how this thing works, so let's do a very quick overview and up close to this thing. Now bear with me here, I will try to be as simple as possible with this thing, but it does get pretty complicated, so you'll just have to follow along with me. Now let's start with the bottom here. This is the truss of the siren. First I printed 4 beams, which are in the corners, and I attached that to the rotator. And essentially, while it was in that position, I used super glue to screw in the X trusses, which are these parts. And now it's basically one solid part, and it's very sturdy and very good at holding up this siren. You can use really any kind of glue, but that's how I handled mine, and it's working great. Also, the truss has been scaled a lot differently. Here's the first generation truss, and can you see a difference in scale there? It's just been scaled a lot more accurately to be more realistic to the real thing. Now here's the rotator, and this may just be the most complicated part of this siren, so I'll try to be as simple as possible. Here I have a DC barrel jack. You can really plug in any kind of adapter you want there. And from the barrel jack, it connects positive and negative to 2 DC to DC buck converters, which are to adjust the siren's pitch and rotator speed. From one buck converter's output, it goes to this gear motor here, and from the other buck converter, it goes to the slip ring, or collector rings if you will, up to the siren's motor up here, which is hidden away in this cover that I made for it. But that is a 500 size DC motor. You can really use any motor you want, like you could swap out the rotator motor by just remodeling it a little bit, and you could easily change the motor used in the motor cover there. But I really do recommend using the motors I used because they are really convenient and they really handle this thing well. And this can rotate on a turntable just like the real thing. It'll kind of pop in place together when you print that out. So yeah, that's pretty much how the rotator works. If you're building this thing and you're confused and you want to ask questions, do feel free to leave a comment or two below in the description, and I will be sure to respond. So anywho, from the collector rings, it delivers power up to the siren's motor, which is hidden away in that shroud like I've said before. Then it goes to the 10-port rotor and stator and the 7-port. And these are actually joined together through a 2mm motor shaft, which is barely seen up there in the corner. So this is connected directly to the motor, and since the motor's shaft isn't that long enough, it goes to a separate 2mm shaft to connect to the 7-port. And there's actually some bearings in between the 7-port stator to eliminate any vibrations and spin smooth. So long story short, these 2 rotors are joined together just like the real thing. 2 separate rotors and stators on a common shaft. That's pretty crazy for a siren if you ask me. But that's how it works. Then here I've got the front of this thing. There's the horn mount. Here's the horn mesh, which just pops in place, and this is printable. Here are the horn brackets holding it together with number 2 size screws. That's really the screws I used for this entire siren, is number 2. These are 3/8 inch, and these are just a 1/4 inch. So I wanted to use shorter screws on the horn, but it really doesn't matter. But you can see that they're actually pretty short on the inside there. And as we're bringing this up, I would like to mention, this is the old 10-port rotor. It's actually based off of Federal Signal's design. Here's the old 7-port rotor, and fun fact, this is actually the same exact rotor used in my STL-10, also based off of Federal Signal. But what I've done here is I've made these rotors and stators completely unique to this siren, because it's obviously not a Federal Signal siren. And these rotors are now weighted, which is a 2-inch fender washer as a weight for each of these rotors. And that really creates a really awesome and spooky wind up and wind down. One last thing, and it's that those up there are just weights that I put on the back of the shroud. And you may not have to add those, but I did because I just had them laying around. I got that from a balancing bird toy, or whatever. It broke, and I just put them on here, and it actually worked really well. That's simply hot glued to the back of the shroud. But since there's so much weight on the front of this thing, it does help to even it out, so that's what I did here. Alright, now I know a lot of you guys are really wanting to hear this thing, so I'll quit yapping and then we can get to testing. Alright, so everything here should be set up. For some technical details, here is a 9-volt DC adapter. This is 300 milliamps, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually enough to drive this thing really just fine. Again, you can really use any adapter you have. 12 volts would work, 24 volts would work, but I don't recommend adapters less than 9 volts. Any voltage is lower than that will make this thing really quiet. Now let's start with a short alert. Here we go. Whoa, that sounded spooky. This thing did move quite a lot, and that's just the thing I'll have to deal with, but this truss does do a really good job of not having it shake as much, which I do appreciate. Alright, now let's do a tack. This is going to sound really good with the improved wind up and wind down. So, here we go. Now I can't hold the decibel reader anymore, and that's because I'm going to be manually pressing the switch here. So I do apologize for that, but it was pretty loud as shown earlier, so I think you get the point. Alright, attack, here we go. Oh yeah, that's where it's at, baby. That's what I've got so far. Now, if you have been following along with my YouTube shorts on this thing, yes, I have shorts now, you'll notice that the rotator speed of this thing is quite a lot faster, and I did tweak that. I simply just popped this off the rotator and adjusted the little trimmer potentiometer on the buck converter for the rotator speed, and now it spins a lot slower, which also puts quite a lot less strain on the rotator altogether, which I thought was pretty neat. And you can do that for the Siren's pitch as well. Well, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed. Alright, well there you have it. That was a bit of an overview and test of my revamped Super-Sirex, requested by you. And actually, I have a little bit of a special thanks to Trains and Sirens of Utah for requesting that I build this thing in the first place, so it may not have been possible without you. So thank you very much. Now, I haven't really said this out loud yet, and I may be selling these along with my other mini Sirens, but maybe not just yet, because these things are really complicated, so maybe when I have a little more money and a little more material in stock, I can really start to sell these and get them going for you all. But for now, I should be selling my smaller Sirens, like my STL-10 and STH-10. So do expect that in the future very soon. Well, that's all I've got for now. I'm Miles Peterson, and you stay creative.